Assalamu alaikum. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Dear students, today we are going to start lecture number 23, where we discuss order, class, phylum. Outlines of the today lecture are order as a category, class as a category, and phylum as a category. By watching and listening to this lecture, student will know about the position of order, class, and phylum in taxonomic hierarchy. So, order, class, and phylum. These are the most stable categories in taxonomic hierarchy. Why these are most stable categories in taxonomic hierarchy? Because characters changes most of the time at lower level. Characters at higher levels not normally changes. For example, we have order carnivora. Now, it is clear that carnivores always eat flesh. We have herbivores. So, herbivores always eat herbs or plants or vegetation. So, this character is stable. This carnivora character is stable. So, that's why this category is stable. In the same way, fishes, for example, class Pisces. So, characteristics of Pisces or fishes are very clear, and these are stable characters. Or aves, birds, the characters of them are very clear, of mammals are clear, and these characters generally do not change readily. So, that's why these are stable categories. And phylum, again a very stable category. So the stability of the category depends on the characteristics of the individual inside them. Now, if you look at the species, so in species, you know, when they become geographically isolated, when they are introduced into different geographical zones, ecological zones, so adaptations occurs in them and changes accumulates in them, and those minor changes change one species into another species. So species may split into more species. So they are not much stable, but these categories are at high level, and these are the most stable categories. Higher categories are above family level are order, class, phylum, family, genus, and species. So now, if you look at the place of these three categories, like species, then genus, then phylum. So now, like these three categories, order, class, and phylum, these are above family. So after family there is order, then there is class, and then there is phylum. So this is the position of these three categories in hierarchy. But in some cases, now this was like general, but in some cases, like in invertebrate, for example, like in case of some sponges, turbularians, this arrangement is not correct. Why? Because actually, in classes and groups where diversity is much more, or variation is there, and a large huge number of animals and species are there, so in such cases we need additional categories. Like for example, we use superfamilies and suborders, and these are very important. So then the correct arrangement will be like phylum, class, order, and then suborder to accommodate the variation, the diversity, the much diversity, the huge diversity, we do such things. Then superfamily and then family. So now in this case, you can see in some cases where we need it, we add additional categories like suborder, and superfamily. There are many other additional categories which we can add if we need them. So the purpose of all these modification in the arrangement is what? To facilitate taxa. Taxa is to facilitate the construction of phylogenetic tree in a proper way for individual. So for a taxa, to facilitate a taxa, we construct a phylogenetic tree, and they phylogenetic tree, the properness or the fineness of the phylogenetic tree for an individual is based on our arrangement. And how we arrange, if there is much diversity, then we need to add additional categories. Otherwise, we cannot facilitate a taxa for the construction of its phylogenetic tree in a proper way. So it is now known that the species resembling each other will be placed in the same genus. The same genera will be, the similar genera will be placed in like same family, and same families in up to phyla and so on, so on. In this way we construct the hierarchy. So due to the discovery and exploration of new species, the number of order, classes and phyla are increasing, and it's a never-ending process, because still a huge number of organisms are we have to discover and to identify them and have to include them in the diversity, to aid them into diversity. But presently or currently we have approximately 722 orders of total, and 144 classes and 29 phyla. With this same lecture, we are going to start another lecture, because that was a short one. So now we are going to start another lecture, that is lecture number 24, and here we will discuss the zoological nomenclature. So the outlines are: what is zoological nomenclature, what is International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, what is International Commission, what is the purpose, what are the duties of this Commission on Zoological Nomenclature, and what are the duties of the International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature. So after watching and listening to this lecture, students will know about zoological nomenclature, that how it came into being, what is International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, what is what are the duties, and what is the importance of International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature. So nomenclature. What is nomenclature? So this term nomenclature actually came from Latin word, and where nomen means name and clature means to call. Now to call by name. Now you all know about this idea, that the purpose of nomenclature in zoology or botany or bacteriology, the binomial name, is very important. Why it is important? Because like we call tomato in English tomato, in Urdu tomato, in Pashto tomato, or Batengad, or something like that. And in many other languages, the name is different. So for example, if you are in America, so they will call it a tomato. But if you are in another country, in German, so you don't know what is the German name of the tomato, what is the Portuguese name of tomato, what is the like Spanish name of tomato. So it is very difficult because of the so many languages and different name for the same tomato in different languages. It is difficult to call it and to revive it. So what scientists did, they like for the universality, what they did, they adopted a nomenclature which is known as binomial nomenclature, and it is universal. Mean tomato is called Lycopersicum esculentum, and this Lycopersicum esculentum as a universal name, all people throughout the world, all the scientists, they know this. The same name, the Lycopersicum esculentum, is a name for the tomato. So everybody knows. But if you go to London and you say give me a kilo tomato, so they don't know what is tomato. You have to tell them, give me tomatoes. So in the literature of zoology, you cannot use like different names because it will be very complex. It is very difficult for scientists to understand. So for universality, this system was adopted. And now, when you adopt such a system, their system needs certain rules. So this lecture, today's lecture is regarding the thing, how this nomenclature came into being, and then the commissions. We will talk about the commissions. So literally, this nomenclature means to call by name. So nomenclature is used to provide authentic, stable, unique, and universally used labels in the form of scientific names. So what we do in nomenclature, we provide an authentic, the name should be authentic, it should be stable, not changeable, unique, mean not the same name will be present in the nomenclature for the two things. So the name will be unique for the, like Leucopersicum esculentum as a name of tomato. So there is nothing else on the same name, Leucopersicum. You cannot call potato a Leucopersicum esculentum. That is Solanum tuberosum. So there's another thing. Or you call the horse Equuscabulus. So horse is in English, Goda in Urdu. There are many names in different languages, but for like universality, we use Equuscabulus. These labels are provided in scientific names, in scientific forms. The role of taxonomy is to provide these labels for taxonomic categories in order to facilitate communication among biologists for smooth communication throughout the world among biologists. This way was adopted. So this nomenclature is the language of zoology. Nomenclature is the language of zoology because when we talk in zoology, we talk in zoology language. Mean we use the scientific names, we use the names which are universal, which are stable, which are unique, and the rules of this nomenclatures are its grammar. So the rule is grammar and the language, the nomenclature is the language. So the naming of organism is called nomenclature. It's very simple. So the name should be scientific, it should be authentic, it should be stable, and it should be universal. So these characteristics must be present in the name given by the scientist or given by this zoological scientist or zoology society. International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, ICZN. What is this? All the rules of nomenclatures have been preserved in an authentic document, in a book. And that thing is known as International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. So all the rules, all the ways for adopting this zoological nomenclature is present in this book. Most of the work in this nomenclature and its rules was done in the first two-thirds of 20th century, 1901 to 1964. But in 1901, in the 5th International Congress of Zoology meeting, they formulated the rules and named them as International Rules of Zoological Nomenclature. So the original code and its revisions, being the amendments done in it, originally was the work of the International Congress of Zoology. However, these congresses are now not operational, and that's why their role has been taken by the General Assemblies of International Union of Biological Sciences, IUBS. As far as zoological nomenclature is concerned, International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature has been devised, a judicial authority to look after all the nomenclature work now. So this duty is not on the shoulders of the International Commission of Zoological Nomenclature. So this commission has full power, or you can say plenary power. Now the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature consists of three main parts. This book consists of three main parts. The one is the code proper, then there are appendices, and there is a glossary. The code proper is actually include preamble, and it is followed by 88 consecutive numbered articles, which are grouped into 18 chapters. And the articles are composed of mandatory rules and provisions. So these 18 articles which are grouped, 88 articles which are grouped into 18 chapters, these are composed of mandatory, the important rules, the provisions, and it is also followed by the recommendations. So there are articles have rules, provisions with recommendations like 10A recommendation, 10A recommendation, 72B, 73C, 74D, etc. The appendices are just like recommendations. Appendices have status like recommendations. There are three appendices. The first two have status of recommendation, while the third one is about the constitution of the commission, how the commission will be constituted. The term used in the text are clearly defined by the glossary, and the glossary, so is, normally in all the books at the end we see glossary, and in glossary we have the definitions of the terms which are used in the text. And several editions of this code have been published, it was published in 1916, another was published in 1964 and 1985, and these editions can be ordered from International Trust for Zoological Nomenclature, London, or you can order it from University of California Press, Los Angeles. And I think this is also present on my website, so you can download the soft copy of this code from my website. Then International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature. So what is this commission and what are the duties of this commission? Originally, this commission was founded in 1895 with 5 members. So in the start, in 1895, there were only 5 members, but in 1898, the number of the members raised from 5 to 15. And then in 1948, Congress of Zoology, when it was held in Paris, the number of the member increased or raised to 28, and this was irrespective of specialization of national and regional specialty. Now, what are the duties of this commission? So, number one, International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature has the following duties. Number one, this commission will consider for a period of at least 1 year in advance the Congress any proposal for the changes in the code. So if you want to change anything in the code, any proposal you want, you have to consider it for a period of at least 1 year in advance of the Congress. Number two, submit to the Congress recommendation for the clarification or modification of the code. So if you want to clarify something or modify something in the code, you have to submit this Congress as the duty to submit the recommendations to the Congress. This commission also has the duty to supply between successive Congresses declaration embodying in the bodily form these recommendations, such recommendations. This commission has to provide or render opinions and directions on questions of zoological nomenclature that do not involve change in the code. This commission has also this duty to compile the official list of accepted, rejected names and work in zoology. So all the accepted and rejected names and the work in zoology, to compile it. And also to submit reports to the Congress on its work. So all the works they have done the report will be submitted by the Commission to the Congress. Also to discharge other such duties as Congress may determine. So this commission has to do what duties the Congress may determine for them. Thank you for watching and listening. If you have any question, please ask.